Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, trying to figure out exactly how I want to go about my day. I got some things to purchase, and I think the smartest play for me is to find myself at a Target. Problem is, I don't really want to waste any bus fare to go to the train station because I've already overdone it to start the month, and we still got 20 days left for this month, and I only got like 10 free bus fares left or something like that. I overdid it early in the month. So I think what I probably believe is best for myself is to probably go down to the Target that I just discovered down the way when I went to vote. I think I actually took Kittredge down that way. So yeah, I'm probably walking the wrong direction is what I'm discovering, but that's like a nice little hour walk. Don't waste the bus fare. Get further away enough from this area to get the kind of walk in I want to get. So I think that's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to head down to Kittredge right now and then just walk up for like 30 minutes all the way up to that Target that I was near the junior high school where I voted at. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And then let that be the outing for the day. But yeah, man, I feel pretty all right. Had some issues with my gut over the last couple of days. As I've been telling y'all, more and more of those problems have been coming more frequently. It's not even coinciding with much of anything. I'm wondering if it has something to do with the stomach exercises I've been doing. If I have some type of ulcers or something like that, it might be part of what I think is going on. So, got to get to a doctor. Haven't had a chance to connect with my doctor at all. And so a lot of what I've been dealing with, it just ain't being treated. Don't know what's going on, but it's not good, I can tell you that. And so, yeah, man, that's really what it is. It's dealing with myself. Same old stuff, man. Nothing new, but it has been a problem. So I slept a lot yesterday because of it. Slept a lot last night as well. In the daytime and at night, I slept plenty. So now it's like, okay, let's go out and get some exercise. I still feel lightheaded, still feel kind of tired, but yeah, we're not going to adhere to that today. Of course, today's Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. Bible studies at 4:30. That's another reason why I kind of want to stay local. Though I have plenty enough time to do all the stuff that I normally do, getting to Hollywood and coming back. But you know, I haven't done my 100th blue squat regiment that I call it. I haven't done that in like 2 days. So I figured I'd take this walk and then come back here and do that today before Bible study, shower, and be ready by 4:30. So I think that's what I'll do. But yeah, man, I'm rather tired. I think that's what it is. Fatigue, frustrating stuff like that. But you know, as far as my mental is concerned, well, we're gonna be moving on from the room that I'm in, and you know, this process of getting into the hotel down the street, because they've sold it, ain't the same process. And the only hotel that has reasonable prices is the hotel I've been going to the last 2 times. And of course you have to pay more there because they have $100 deposit that they want you to pay, that they may give back to you, may not give back to you in full, may, you know. I don't think that transaction actually ever came into my bank account, although it looked like I got an extra $100 when my uncle paid me this past week. It looked like there was an extra $100 there, but I didn't actually do the full math, so I don't even know if they actually gave me back that deposit. And when they do, for whatever reason, it doesn't show up as a positive into your account. So it's very strange going there. Last time I went there, I had some reasons to believe that I wasn't treated fairly. They helped somebody in front of me. So a lot of that was just like, I'd rather not go back there. But on the other hand, trying to get into the NoHo Hotel, which is now changed to something Ridge, whatever they call it. They franchised it out. It's different prices. You can't seem to do same day reservations, or at least you weren't able to 3 weeks ago. Hopefully they've updated that. But so it's just a little bit more of a headache for me trying to find a one-night stay anywhere in this area that's reasonably priced. So I'm not feeling all that confident that it's not going to be more of the same. And you know, that's just what it is. So getting out of these rooms and getting back into the room isn't as simple as it had been, and because of it, I think that might be catering a little bit of my fatigue as well. Some of my health issues are aligned with the stress level I might be going through. So it just is what it is, man. This is the same old same. I've been in this situation for over a year now, but it's just a lot easier when, you know, the cheap hotel is really close by. You ain't got to spend $20 to Uber, $20 to get back. It's a lot to incorporate when you got to go further out and have to incorporate a $100 deposit into what you're doing. So yeah, man, I ain't too happy about that, but this is the circumstance. It's been the circumstance. So far be it from me to do too much complaining about something I already knew was coming, and that it takes place on Wednesday. So it's Sunday right now. We still got a couple days to figure everything out. So that's not a big deal. In the grand scheme of things, it's not, but it is something I'm anticipating. Could potentially be a bit of a static if I can't reserve the room early. And in reserving the room early at NoHo, how much does it cost? $140, $150? They didn't raise the prices. So it is what it is, man. I would have had the money if I didn't have the situation with my friend. I had to shoot him some money for the storage. That would have given me enough money to reserve my room early. But right now, in the account that I'm using to do that, I don't have enough to reserve the room early. So that's also part of what's going on there. It's just, you know, trying to be diligent in taking care of things that are my responsibility. It requires a lot more money than I am currently using right now. So, you know, it is what it is, man. Just can't seem to save any money. That's what's frustrating. Every time I got a little money to save, here comes something that takes it away. So it's like, in this situation, you really need to be saving. But it's not really happening like that right now. So it is what it is, man. Just live with it. Complain about it if you want to, but it still has to be what it is. So that's just what it is, man. But other than that, I feel pretty good, man. Gotta buy myself some apples. That's for damn sure. It's the first time I've run out of apples in a long time. I usually have enough stacked up to keep that part of my diet going, but at this point I let it all disappear. So getting out today was essential for making sure that I have everything that I need for my diet. And you know, that's part of living the way that I'm living, where you can't eat everything and your body's used to certain things. So it's like, even if I spend a day without apples, I'm gonna feel it. If I spend a day without grapes, I'm gonna feel it at this point, because that's how consistent I eat, and that's how sensitive my body is these days. So yeah, man, feels pretty warm out here. It's got to be about 80. Feels pretty good. Nothing too serious. You know, as far as everything else, did a little art yesterday. Enjoyed that. Did a playlist yesterday as well. During the time where I wasn't asleep, I knocked out K-List 400. So that was pretty solid. And what else did I do, man? The Lakers, of course, had a game last night, so I did all the videos for that. Encourage everybody who cares about the Lakers, check that out. And yeah, man, just enjoying the consistency of what I'm doing. I'm still doing my morning workouts, but I don't really count those. You know what I mean? It's like, I tell myself I didn't work out when I actually am getting up in the morning every day doing my workouts. But you know, if I miss a certain specific thing, then it's like, oh, I didn't do anything. That's kind of how I am wired these days. So yeah, man, it's just trying to get the exercise necessary, man. That's all it is. Exercise, keep my body going, enjoying the Sunday. I would love to get out to Hollywood today, but just trying to be responsible with what I have in my situation. And you know, sometimes you just can't do anything you want to do. Sometimes you know, may not have the time to. That's what it is for me. Bible study at 4:30 is like, yeah, maybe I'd be pushing it, you know. So this is a situation where it allows me to go to a new target, though, a target that I've never been into. So hopefully they have what I'm looking for, and not be like the Target underneath the old movie theater in Hollywood that I used to go to. That is like a mini Target where they don't provide all the stuff that the big Targets have. So if you want to get, for example, oatmeal, you ain't gonna find it there. If you want to find like you know, certain types of foods, they just don't have it. Certain types of clothes, it ain't there. So you know, that's kind of what it is. But you know, I'm hopeful this won't be that. So we'll see. But yeah, man, it's a lot going on in the world. I ain't really been focusing in on the stuff that I normally pay attention to. What's going on in Gaza, I haven't had my eyes on it like I should be. The last thing I've been listening to and what has been showing up in my feed has just been about what's going on in Amsterdam. And you know, the Amsterdam police and their officials have come out and said it was the Israeli football team fans that started the fight. And of course the media is taking it and turning it into a different conversation. On one day they're talking about how it was Israeli fans getting into fights with locals, and now they've turned it into anti-Semitic attacks upon Israeli fans as they travel abroad to celebrate their football team. It's just, you know, the media is still kind of in a space where they're of course owned by Zionists and Zionist Jews behind them, paying their bills. And the intention of the Zionist Jew is to always paint the picture that they are the victim and that whatever has happened to them is egregious in whatever situation, regardless if they provoke it or not. And that's just it's an outdated way of telling stories about their people, because most who need to know have at least the notion at this point that they ain't as innocent as they paint themselves out to be, and they certainly not as victims as they paint themselves out to be. So now it's almost laughable when we see it. Even as to where a year ago we used to say, yo, that's not what it is. Are y'all paying attention to what the media is doing? Now at this point it's like, look at these guys. That's what the national sentiment is. The international sentiment even more so. So it's like, I don't know, they're gonna have to understand that as long as they live in a space where they believe they are above reproach, that they're gonna have resistance that they don't know. That's what it really comes down to. Resistance that they've never seen before, resistance that's never been pointed at them. You know, they're conditioned to be able to receive all of the sympathy that comes with what came to them many years ago, but the behavior that they've been engaging in since has also told a different story about them. And so you can't really fall upon the hope, woe is us, remember the Holocaust, and then proceed to Holocaust others and think nobody's going to see you as the bad guy. And so that's the problem. There's a lot of them that still own the news media, and they want to continue the narrative of the genuine belief that they are above reproach and that all of us should be absolutely appalled at whatever comes their way, regardless of what it is that they do. And that is something they're just gonna have to grow out of. They're gonna have to grow out of that. As a people, you just have to grow out of that. That's really what it comes down to. You know, they talk about black people and have us having the victim mentality, but we ain't nothing like the Zionist Jews. They really genuinely believe that they have gone through the worst things in the world, despite owning everything in the world. They believe that anything that's ever happened to them, whether they cause it or not, is somebody else's fault, and that they have every right to put others through immense amount of pain in response to whatever pain threshold disruption that they've received. Whatever would hurt them even in the slightest, it must be responded to the utmost, and that the world does in fact see them as victims just as they see themselves, and that we are all to be shamed for not viewing them as such. It's just like, yeah, man, that's not real, bro. That's not what the truth tells us. And although you don't want us to know the truth, it's already been revealed. So you gotta react to that truth, that the truth has already been revealed. But when you believe your own lies so deeply, and you control the narrative, and everybody hears what it is that you want the media to tell them, then it's like, well, we can will people away from the truth and overall shame anyone who otherwise doesn't hold our sentiment, instead of actually having to uphold the absorption that comes with being revealed for what we're not. And that's, like I said, that's what it really comes down to for them. They're gonna have to grow as a people. They have to grow up. That's what it really comes down to. They're gonna have to grow up as a people. There's a lot of stuff that they believe in that if you just think for a little bit, if you just ask the right questions, will be debunked completely. They've coerced themselves culturally and systematically away from asking those questions, and they look like an underdeveloped people to the rest of us. You know, fat and happy off of the privilege of not being held accountable by anybody for anything and controlling everything at the same time. At some point in time, they got to grow up as a people. You know, they just got to grow. As to say, well, the overall sentiment toward our people is different, and while we control the media that we control is losing credibility because of our denial about that we are due sympathy for what we perceive as victimization, responded with victimization that has responses that make us the bad guy in a lot of kids' situations. It's like if they can't grow to understand that that's what the overall view upon them really is, then they're going to be looking silly. They're going to be spending a lot of money to make themselves look foolish. They're going to be spending a lot of money and deteriorating any credibility that they would otherwise have left as a serious people because of it. And that's what it really comes down to. They got to grow. We all got to grow. You know, a lot of times I think the rest of us take for granted the idea of being held accountable, because we're all held accountable to some degree at this point. You know, black folks constantly, white folks now, it's like you can't say certain words or you're held accountable. You have everything ripped away from you. In 2024, a good majority of the world is used to being pointed at and said there's something wrong with you, or pointed at and said if what you've done is not okay. Right? The majority of us. But they have not. They've not. They've literally never lived like that. They've never had people look at them, point at them and say, you need to be held accountable for what you're doing. It's not okay that you do it. This is what you're going to have to fear for being this way. And this is what it ultimately does to your reputation. Like, this is the first time they really had to ever deal with that. So as we sit there and look at them as petulant children, more or less, who've never been held accountable for anything, we got to understand how difficult it is from within their psyche, having everything pointed in the direction of them being chosen, and therefore they can do whatever they want, and being victims, and having complexes about that victimization on a scale that is immeasurable and unimaginable to the rest of us. And then furthermore, being in control of everything, so that makes it even worse. Because in being in control of everything, no one is going to hold you accountable because they're too afraid to. You got nothing but yes men all over the world. It's like having a rich child with the world handed to him, who's never been told no, suddenly waked up to the idea that the word no is what they're going to hear from here on out. That no one's buying whatever it is they're selling. And the more they continue to try to sell it, the less credibility they hold with the rest of us. And so that's what's going on there. We talk about the concept of being fat and happy, and any, variation of that application is going to make it so that you're out of shape, or not used to what is necessary to function in the speed that you should, or not being ready for whatever it is that ultimately you're going to be forced to do, or whatever that looks like. Being rocked to sleep, being spoiled, and then having things snatched from you. It's like you're not used to losing anything. As to where people who have had plenty taken from them, or who've been challenged in that way, or been through any type of exercise or whatever that looks like, they have a resistance to what comes with that. They have tested themselves to be resilient. You know what I mean? It's like that evidence provides you a confidence through the changes that ultimately you face. Even if you go through more difficulty, because you've been through the last thing, how you're going to handle the next thing. It's like that type of resilience is what they've robbed themselves of by rigging the game the way they have, and then furthermore believing lies about themselves, and then furthermore being so detached from the rest of us that they don't even know what our opinion is about them as they do these things. So when that stuff is thrusted all in their face, they just like, oh my God. And that's what I'm seeing. It's a bunch of people who are just like completely flabbergasted at the slightest amount of accountability and the slightest amount of judgment upon the character that they display. And they're so detached from the rest of us, as I've already said, that they don't even know how egregious they sound to the rest of us. They haven't ever been asked to look at themselves and challenge themselves to be better in that way. And if anything, they've just looked at anyone who otherwise challenged them as beneath them and therefore deserving of punishment for even doing so. So they've effectively kept out all accountability. They've been able to box themselves in to a mentality that makes them people that are not good for the rest of us. And not good for their own reputation just the same. So that's the truth about the Zionist supremacists. They don't. And then furthermore, as they move, it's like anyone that hurts me, it's okay for me to have violent thoughts or, vicious ideas about their fate forever doing whatever they did to me. It's like that mentality paints another picture of them that makes them, that describes to us how dangerous they can be to the rest of us who are holding one another accountable, who are used to being held accountable, who don't believe we're the greatest thing since sliced bread, who don't control every damn thing. And we start to realize that people who are in control of us are rocked to sleep by their very own narratives that they've created within themselves about themselves and about the rest of the world. And they've been following these ideals that they are better than everybody for thousands of years, and they've been watching us go through the struggle of discovering we're not better than anybody, however that works. They've watched us go through those struggles, but they never embodied the wisdom that comes from the learned lessons that we went through, because they effectively were above it. It don't count for us if you're them. So they're in the Stone Ages, more or less. As it pertains to how they grow as a people, they're in the damn Stone Ages. They genuinely believe they're better than everybody else. They genuinely believe anybody does anything to them is wrong. They genuinely believe that they're never supposed to be held accountable for nothing. They genuinely believe that they're put here on earth to hurt others if that's what is required. If we believe a bunch of stuff they don't believe in, if we idolize God or Jesus or whatever it is that we idolize, that we're effectively people they must erase in the world. It's like, this is how they operate mentally, spiritually. They think it's okay to hurt people who they deem hurt them, but that they approach these people with the intentions of hurting them is acceptable. So the accountability of being the provoker doesn't come in. It's like, this is an impossible people. This is an impossible child to deal with. That's what this has taught me. That they ain't gonna let no wisdom in. They won't let wisdom in. They shun anyone that would otherwise think differently within their circles. Anybody that would otherwise question these things, they treat them horribly. They've effectively kept all growth and resilience to being better out of their circumference. Any lesson that you learn, they ignore it because it doesn't apply to them. It's like, wow, the devil has done a number on them. They ain't got no chance. Like literally, they have no chance. At the slightest discomfort, they feel like they've been through the worst of things, and then in turn, they put people through the worst of things. They give themselves no chance. And the moment they lose everything they have, they're sitting ducks. The reality is the resilience that all of us have built up in our struggles, many of which they put us through in the shadows, Anytime they stand up against any of us in regards to what it is we've been through, if they don't have everything that ultimately makes them powerful behind them, they're at a severe disadvantage based on the mental weakness of allowing yourself to become this way. It's a mental weakness. It's a spiritual weakness. It's a resilience issue. It's an absorption of difficulty issue. It's an absorption of truth and the valuing of seeing oneself for who you are issue. You know, it becomes a confidence issue from there. That they can't function without being seen as victims. That they can't function unless they control everything. That they can't function unless they impose the most difficult of times upon those that oppose them for whatever reasons. And that no one who opposes them has a word or a point about anything. They give themselves no chance, man. And that's why it's so unwise for our country to align with them for any reason. Taking their money and handing over our vote and our country to them, aligning with them in their intentions upon the Middle East, you know, being bedfellows with them, providing them weapons. You would have to be one of them to think that makes any sense at all. Because anybody from the outside looking in at them, who knows what they're doing, understands how deeply unwise and how unstable they actually are. Regardless if they are able to tell the story with all of their vast ability to control the storyline about themselves. Only people ever telling you anything about them is them. But they're not learning from their own mistakes. They're not learning from anybody else's. And so that, my friends, is really the truth about Design This Dude. That's really the truth, man. And it ain't a book that they're going to read in their universities or a book they're going to read in their synagogues that's going to help them see why moving down this path any further is terrible for them. There's nothing that they're going to look at that's going to help them see that. They're going to have to just see the path through. It's just going to have to go the way it's going to go. They're going to have to learn the hard way. And it's going to get a lot tougher for them, man. I know they don't see it right now because they control a lot. But like I said, everything they hold on to, the credibility of that is disappearing. The credibility. You know, they're used to the world looking at them very seriously and thinking they have all this stuff under control, like they're wiser than most of us, when they're actually the opposite. You know? They're not even wise enough to get in front of this thing. They're still trying to rig the narrative as if people ain't paying attention and having side conversations about the truth. Right up under their noses. We know that you're not supposed to be over there. We know you stole the land. We know what you're doing to those people. We know how much suffering you're putting them through and why. We know that you have your hands in every single thing all over the world, it seems. Put your money in all different types of things that stir people up against one another in situations get worse because of your presence. We know all of these things. We know that you don't want people to speak of you in any way other than a most positive light or a most sympathetic light. We know you pity yourselves despite having so much, which displays to all of us the fat and happy nature of what it is I just described, that you thrive upon pity, self-pity, and that of the pity of others pointed toward you, while you have so much at the same time, while you control so much at the same time. That you thrive off of that is a weakness. It's not a strength. That you constantly point at all of us and tell all of us that we need to feel sorry for you and that we need to support people that you are being victimized against while you victimize them. That's a weakness. That's a depravity of discipline. That's a depravity of resilience. That's a depravity of self-awareness. That's a depravity of self-control. You're not strong. And you're proving it to all of us, and you are not even aware of it. Being chosen in that way has done nothing for you. Being better than all of us in that regard has been to your detriment. It's been the worst thing for you. And you're the last one to find out. BDO 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.